generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Dyad in the Rough. Today I am talking to you about something that's been popping up in the Star Wars news as of late. So if you aren't aware, Temuera Morrison, so the current Boba Fett actor, he's been kind of on, I would say, a nudge tour to Disney because unfortunately after the book of Boba Fett kind of didn't live up to par for the audiences. I think the show was okay. It wasn't it wasn't the worst. I mean, the bar is getting set further and further for what the worst show is. And so I would take watching the Book of Boba Fett season 1 in a heartbeat compared to what we've been watching. But what is going on in the news right now? Well, Temuera Morrison really doesn't want the character of Boba Fett to be put on the shelf, right? We don't want the character to uh, basically disappear just because of the backlash that happened on Disney Plus. Now, here's the thing, here's my opinion. When Boba Fett was shown in the Mandalorian show at the end of season 2, I think that was pretty much the Boba Fett we were looking for. However, when we got Boba Fett's show, it really didn't match up to, what we had seen from the Mandalorian show as far as how his character was, right? Because in The Mandalorian, we see him show up. He kind of has like the robes of a Tusken Raider, and he is like ripping through stormtroopers with hand-to-hand combat, and then eventually with his suit. And so, seeing all that stuff going into the book of Boba Fett, all of our expectations were kind of like, that's the Boba we're gonna get, and we didn't. We got a Boba that doesn't want to be, as destructive and killing people for money and all that crazy stuff. He wanted to be a man of like honor and rule with respect. And so the audiences didn't really take to that very kindly, especially with the like Power Ranger moped people in the middle of it. Some of that stuff just seemed a little bit ridiculous for what we were expecting, right? And by the end of the season, Bulba talks to Fennec and says something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing here, that, maybe this isn't for us. Maybe we should do something else. Which, as an audience member, I feel like that was kind of a backhand. But at the same time, it leaves the character open to going back to what he is used to, or at least a lot closer to what he was in The Mandalorian. So maybe he isn't necessarily bounty hunting like we all wanted him to, but maybe he could still be, a pivotal character in some of our other shows and events. And so Temuera Morrison is constantly talking to Disney about, hey, I understand what happened with the show, but Boba Fett is an awesome character. What can we do? And it's kind of come down to Temuera Morrison wants to steal an episode of The Mandalorian when that next season comes out. So we've already gone through 3 seasons. Whenever season 4 comes out, Temuera wants to go in and steal one of those episodes. And the reason why is because in the book of Boba Fett, there was an episode that was basically all The Mandalorian. And arguably so, that was like the strongest episode, right? So I think as far as the fact that Temuera Morrison isn't getting much attention from Star Wars as of late, I could definitely see that as a point of making things right on his part because arguably his show was, shadowed or living in the shadow of Mandalorian. Everybody was kind of like, not so much, not liking this. And then we see Mando, and it's like, oh, I like this. I like where this is going, right? And so I think Temuera Morrison just not only wants to get back into the character of Boba Fett because he has one of the coolest characters in Star Wars, but also kind of redeem the character a little bit from where it was left off, which I think is understandably so. I think Disney needs to figure out a way to get Boba back into being Boba, even if it's some sort of like uh, going back in time, right? So, like, if we wanted to do what was he up to in between Empire and Return of the Jedi? I know he was transporting Han Solo and Carbonite, duh. But what else was he up to, right? I mean, that would be a way to going back to, what Boba Fett was when we really, really enjoyed him, as opposed to having him, have a whole series about Boba Fett and then having to retcon everything. We don't really want that. That'll make the story messy. It'll make Star Wars look terrible, quite honestly. So I think if we maybe go back in time and do some things, I think that would be kind of cool. I know he doesn't look one to one with the old Boba. So I don't know. I think that's probably one of the best ways to do it. But at the same time, Temuera Morrison isn't getting any younger. So they're probably going to want to progress the character of Boba Fett. And I think what would probably be most interesting is if he had a season where he was like he heard Mace Windu was still alive and then he went to hunt him down. I know that's a very popular opinion, but I absolutely love it. I really don't see what other things he could do unless Disney wants to be like 100% original. I haven't read the books, quite honestly, so I don't know any of the like bounty hunter tales or anything like that. So, I mean, they could tap into that stuff too, but I think probably what's best is just to keep going with the character and see where things go. I do feel bad for Temuera Morrison because I feel like he just got the short end of the stick on this one because his show was supposed to be amazing, right? It was supposed to be super action packed. The Boba that we know, using all those cool weapons that he has and going on bounty hunting missions. What different like crime lord things is he getting mixed up in? But not from the angle of wanting to be, looked at from a respect point of view, but looking at the point of view of that is Boba Fett and you don't mess with him. So I wish and hope that we might get some of that stuff later on. I wonder if we're going to see some Boba Fett in Outlaws just because that's during that time period between 5 and 6. We can see because Han Solo is in Carbonite and being either exchanged or in transport during one of the trailers. And so I think it might be interesting if we run into him there. Is Temuera Morrison going to be the voice of Boba Fett for that game? That would be really cool. I really don't think he would say no, just because I think he takes a lot of pride in being Boba Fett. But I think that's probably going to be the next place that we do see him. But I think because Disney is in such a tough situation as far as the popularity of Star Wars and the immense amount of negativity that I think they're going to want to funnel their dollars into characters that haven't been screwed up yet, for a lack of a better phrase. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I hope for the best, and I hope that Temuera Morrison uh, gets the respect that he deserves. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Drops a like if you like the video and drops a comment letting us know your thoughts on this situation with Temuera Morrison. Do you think it would be, you know, all right if he stole an episode of the next season of Mando or was at least just a significant piece of it? Or would you like to see him get something else, right? A different project, maybe Book of Boba Fett season 2 or something altogether differently. I would love to see something where all the bounty hunters are doing something crazy, like some big heist, maybe like Star Wars' version of Suicide Squad or something. I have no idea. Um, but we'll have to see. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.